Right, so Boris Johnson had his day in front of the Privileges Committee. He was clearly finding the whole experience intolerable and an annoyance. How dare these people criticise him? How dare he be held to the rules of mortal men? He is special. Rules do not apply to him. They are for other people, the little people. His birthday, for example. It never occurred to him that it should not be acknowledged or the day marked in some way. Yet he had actually congratulated other people during lockdown for not celebrating theirs. And he called that doing the right thing. This is a man whose egotism and superiority in his view means he should always be treated as an exception. And the simple fact of the matter is there's few lesser examples of humanity going than he is. He is a power-hungry, dangerous man, completely lacking in integrity, empathy, respect, morality, conscience, competence, compassion, or honour. And that's why throughout the proceedings, he got gradually teasier and teasier with the questioning and those asking them. His defence hinged on the belief that he never intended to break the rules, so he admits that he did. He doesn't care about that, though. As I've already said, here is a man so narcissistic the rules simply don't seem to apply to him. He talked about his shock at receiving a fixed penalty notice, which confirmed in the eyes of the law to the entire nation that he did indeed break the law, broke the rules. But the shock, I'm sure, stemmed more from an attitude of how dare they give me one of these things. Corruption follows Johnson wherever he goes. His failures in government, his lies, my God, the lies. He's lied to everyone, from us to his wife to the Queen, for heaven's sake, none of whom he cares about, utterly self-infatuated as he is. A man who has lost every job he's ever had because of his lying. A man who should never have entered public life, grossly unsuited to it. His own mother said that of him. But having achieved the highest political office in the land, he had nowhere else to fall upwards, which he always seemed to do by virtue of being born into the right sort of family, born into privilege. And it's so ironic that a so-called Privileges Committee is now laying bare the man's inadequacies. It began with him swearing an oath of honesty on a Bible, and I thought watching it ought to have burst into flames. The Sue Gray report, which had been widely reported to be forming part of the questioning, turned out to have been completely omitted from it in the end over the claims of bias connected to it, with Gray now taking a job as Starmer. So well done to Team Keith for potentially helping Johnson get off these charges now with their idiotic gloating over that. But nonetheless, Johnson got no easy ride here. He wriggled like a worm on a hook at times, and his excuses were miserable. People accused him of not breaking the rules, of not social distancing when attending rule-breaking parties. People reported to be 4 or 5 people deep in attendance. And Johnson blamed the crampness of number 10 for that. When asked where were the mitigation measures, the screens which should have been in place so people could be separated where social distancing was not possible, he implied, oh, they're off camera, or they weren't caught in the shot. They're through the next door there. Okay. His belligerence carried on as the photographs came out, stating that if we really thought he was breaking the rules, why would he have allowed photographs to be taken at them? But I'm sorry, bozo. That simply brings us back to your belief that you're above being reproached and would get away with it, photos or not. You're not alone in that either. Here's a Tory fundraiser that had a photographer too. Clearly, they were all very hard at work, lining the Tory coffers there. He also proceeded to throw other people under the bus with him by saying that the lack of WhatsApp messages and emails warning him what he was doing was wrong at the committee hearing showed they didn't have any. Therefore, they didn't exist. And if you're taking him to task for lying about events he was purportedly warned about attending, then the committee must also be accusing numerous other people who must have been in attendance, such as the civil servants, the advisors, other MPs, other staffers. All of them must have been lying too. So why aren't they being questioned as well? Nice of that, wasn't it? Nice touch, bozo, but oh so typical of him. The photos of numerous events were shown, however, and Johnson sneered at this and bemoaned, I know you're going to say it is obvious rules were broken where it was not. Well, you wrote the advice, allegedly. You laid down the law to the rest of us. How exactly is none of this obvious to you, Johnson? Someone else did your job for you, of course, is the obvious conclusion I've drawn. The man would be out of his depth in a puddle, wouldn't he? But anyway, the birthday party where he was ambushed by cake by his wife. Now, he denies anyone touched the cake, and nobody sang, so that made it all okay. Another event where a staffer was leaving, he had to attend, apparently, as it could have been potentially acrimonious if he hadn't. Despite all the drinks on show, it was clearly a works event because the police didn't fine him over it. As if anyone trusts the Met anymore anyway. But it's far from the only incident where drinks were allegedly on show at an apparent works event. But I don't know how many of the rest of you work around drink like that, save those who work in a brewery or a winery. Now, I'm not even going to go over all the various different events again. I did that in a video yesterday. You can remind yourselves of such things by having a watch of that. Please do. But his reasoning for the birthday event and indeed the garden party event were clearly okay, Johnson says, because his wife Carrie Antoinette was present, as was the then contracted interior designer, architect of Wallpapergate, if you will, Lulu Little, at the birthday, and his wife, along with his son, were at the garden party. Now, Johnson's justification was that this was clearly fine because his family were living at number 10, so it was a home as well as a workplace. But there is one glaring fact that blows that apart, that neither the committee seemed to have picked up on, nor the media coverage of it anywhere. And that is the fact that the Johnsons did not live at number 10. They lived in the flat above number 11. The number 11 flat is bigger, you see. So any presence of Carrie and Wilfred Johnson or the designer at any event in number 10, given none have any role there, given they do not live there and never have, was clearly a breach of the rules, and that's open and shut, surely. It beggars belief such an obvious fact wasn't raised on that issue, which Johnson used as such a staunch defence on more than one occasion in that committee hearing. Johnson was a gaslighting gas bag for nigh on 4 hours. I don't think minds or opinions have changed in his favour, despite right-wing papers bleating the opposite. Whether any meaningful punishment comes down the line, though, remains to be seen. If it's a slap on the wrist when so many people around the country lost loved ones whilst the party PM partied away, then the process will be seen to have failed to deliver justice and will be seen to be a sham. Lying to Parliament and to us, the British people, relentlessly and repeatedly, as we have seen, has to matter. It has to count for something. Thanks for watching. If you appreciate this video, please do hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment and hit the notification bell too so you don't miss the next one. Also, look out for me on social media and other interesting stuff by clicking on that Linktree link in the comments below. And I will see you next time. Cheers, folks.